Hello, listeners of Daetro's Nightmares. Today's story is a fiction story about the Filipino Folklore Aswang. Let us begin. My name is Ron. I was born from a family of mediums. We specialize in the art of exorcism and terminating demons. My father was the best medium in the country. If being a medium was a racing sport, he was the Usain Bolt in his field. This was also the reason that I didn't get to live a normal life. Aside from often moving a lot, while other kids was playing, I was busy with my training to become his successor. I was homeschooled my entire childhood, and after school lessons comes hours of combat training and memorizing prayers in Latin. Thinking about it now, even though I had it rough as a kid, I'm happy that I had that training which turned me into a badass medium that I am right now. I was 18 years old when my father took me to my first mission. It was an unforgettable experience. We rowed a boat to the island of Panay, which is located in Capiz, Philippines. They said that this place is the hometown of the race of Aswangs. If you are from the Philippines or you watch the Netflix anime series 13, I'm sure you know what Aswang is. But for those who don't, Aswang is an umbrella term for various shape-shifting evil creatures in Filipino folklore. They are creatures with incredible agility, strength, and durability at night, and their food is said to be mostly humans. Some Aswangs eat animals too, but that is their vegan version. Majority still focus on hunting humans at night. Before leaving, we prepared some countermeasures. We brought our blessed dagger, some holy oil, and garlic necklace. We also packed a small plastic of salt, candles, and some food and drinks. My father told me to never remove the garlic necklace since Aswangs hate the stench of garlic, and even touching it burns their skins. We docked our boat in the port and walked straight to the office of the village chief. My first encounter with the chief of that village wasn't really pleasant. My father introduced me to the chief, saying that I will be the one to handle the mission. The chief looked at me with disgust and complained to my father right in front of my face, saying that they needed a professional to handle the job and not some amateur. This demotivated me and took my excitement away. But my father insisted, it's either I handle the mission or we walk away. Besides, he will be there to clean up the mess in case something goes wrong, so the chief had no choice but to say yes. The chief explained to me the situation. He told me about the increase of deaths in their village that seemed almost like an animal attack, and multiple cases of people disappearing from the village. The bodies they recovered had missing organs and were chunked into pieces. They believed that it was the work of Aswangs, and he wanted us to investigate and terminate the Aswang that's harming the village. We then discussed the plans and left his office, proceeding to the room that they lent us for the stay in the village. The chief's wife came to our room and offered us food and drinks. She also apologized for her husband's behavior. She said that her husband is just stressed and pressured by the situation. I accepted the apology, but we politely declined the food, saying that we brought our own. It has been our custom to never accept food from strangers. We sat in the table and prepared our food. While eating, my father gave me some motivational speech and told me that this is what I have been training for years and should be a piece of cake. But he also warned me to not get carried away and still be careful at all times. The Aswang will not hesitate to fight back even the strongest medium when cornered. After eating, we went outside to investigate the village. I sensed something different from the house located farthest from the center of the village. It had a creepy vibe and I felt an evil aura coming from it, so I told my father, but he already knew. Of course he did. He's been doing this his entire life. We headed to the door and knocked. It was an elderly lady that opened the door, probably between the age of 70 or 80. She looked normal but emitted a foul stench. We introduced ourselves and asked if it's okay to ask a few questions. The lady agreed and offered us a drink, but we politely refused. I wanted to ask her about the stench, but that would be rude, so I didn't. We asked her a few questions and left. After a few hours, the sun came down and the moon came out. Excited and nervous, I thought it was game time. I patrolled the village as my father stayed and said that he will be watching me. This was my mission after all. Following my instincts, I watched over the creepy house from a close distance and waited for something to happen. And boy, I was right. 3 hours past midnight, the old lady came out through the back door and walked towards the woods. I followed her quietly, maintaining a good distance, trying to cover my tracks. But the senses of Aswang is not a joke. She noticed that I was following her and she started sprinting. She was super fast, even faster than an Olympic runner, and let me remind you that she is an old lady. It was so dark that I can barely see my surroundings, and much more, I couldn't see her. But I can hear the noise of her footsteps, so instead I followed the sounds. We kept this chase for a few minutes until we reached the fields of tall bushes. I grabbed my blessed dagger in one hand and holy oil in the other. I beat the lid of the bottle and started pouring holy oil in my dagger. The old lady faced towards my direction and her face was different. It was the face of a monster. Dark black skin, blood red swollen eyes, and wide elven ears. Long sharp fangs coming out of her mouth and saliva dripping to the ground. She lunged at me and tried to bite me, but I dodged to the right and tried to stab her. She dodged my stab and clawed me with her sharp nails, which I blocked with my left arm. Her nails were so sharp that it shredded my flesh like it was made of tofu, which made me scream in pain. I jumped back 2 steps and watched her lick the blood off her nails. I rushed forward and tried to stab her again, but this time, she tackled me and held both my arms and pinned me to the ground. A garlic necklace touched her body, which made her twitch and let go of my bloody left arm. I then took advantage of the situation and reached out to my pocket. I grabbed a handful of salt and threw it in her face, which made her scream and touch her face with both hands. It bought me enough time to swing my dagger. I swinged my dagger, which sliced through her belly. Her blood showered me and her intestines fell above me. She screamed in pain, and I repeatedly stabbed her from the side with my blessed dagger. I struck the final blow by cutting her neck off. I picked up her head as my trophy, but it turned into ashes. We received a reward from the village chief and completed the mission, but I earned a far greater reward, the words of praise coming from my father. While we were on the boat leaving the island, I saw a man looking at me with a deadly stare as if I did something wrong to him.